What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State Podcast with yours truly, Harry Mack. We got a great episode for y'all. I'm going to talk about turning my smartphone into a dumb phone. I'm going to answer some questions about my early influences, the books I've been reading. We're going to talk about my new biopic starring Adam Scott. I'm going to react to my first collaboration with the legendary Marc Rebillet, and we'll close it out with some bars. Y'all know the deal, man. Let's go.
This is for my Flow State. Add it. Yeah. Y'all know we back at it. Ain't it crazy how the mind works magic? We'll show you the method behind the madness, cause this is for my Flow State.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State Podcast with yours truly, Harry Mack. I'm very excited to be back in the mix with y'all. As always, we got my man Sam in the house. Sam, how you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Doing well, man.
Hell yeah.
Doing well. Episode 10, maybe? Let's see, though.
Yeah, predicted to be episode 10. So, you know,
double digits?
Probably will. Yeah, double digits. Let's go. We'll celebrate it right now because as far as we know currently, this will be episode 10. So if you're seeing this and somehow this is episode 9, you know, I'm not sorry. Yeah, things happen. Dope, man. Stoked to have you here. And to everybody watching at home, thank you so much for tapping in or listening at home or maybe not at home, at work, in your car. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the pod, man. It really means a lot to me. This is something that I've been wanting to do for such a long time. And, you know, before we were able to get started, at least a couple years before we actually created and released episode 1, we were planning and talking about eventually doing a podcast. So, feels good, man, to be hitting the double digits. Let's go. And I think by hitting the double digits, we're in like the like top 1% of podcasts automatically because most podcasts like drop off before episode 10.
Damn, really?
Something like that. It might be like, there's a number. It's like if you hit 20, it might be 20 episodes, 15. I don't know the number, but it's like when you hit that number, which is quite low, maybe 15 or 20 episodes, you're automatically in the top 1% because most podcasts don't make it that far.
Made it off over that like initial growing pains hump kind of, and you're sticking with it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we're just getting started, man, and feels really good. So today, just want to update you guys, like I always do, on you know, what's flowing through my mind as of late. One thing that's been really big on my mind recently is I'm becoming very obsessed with this idea of going analog. Not for my recording. That would be dope, recording to tape. But in the sense that I've always been into journaling for some years now, but mostly it's just the morning pages. And I'm getting really into this idea of having more different types of journals, like a small one that I carry on me. You know, I started a reading log last night. This is brand new, so we'll see if I stick with it, but started a reading log. I started a practice journal for the first time in a long time in a totally separate book, which I used to do all the time, all through high school for my drumming. I would always keep a practice journal where I'm recording like what I'm working on, sort of like thoughts that occur as I'm practicing, things that I want to work on, what's challenging about the current exercise, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, man, I'm basically doing all of this in an effort to spend less time on my phone. And I actually recently turned my smartphone into a dumb phone. It's mind-blowing. And I'll I'll explain exactly what I mean in a little bit. But first, I just want to, you know, kind of take a step back and walk you guys through this. Last year, I took a pretty long break from being on social media, personally. My team continued to post on my behalf on all platforms, which is awesome. And shout out to the team because they go super hard. But me personally, I wasn't going on Instagram. I wasn't going on TikTok. Those are kind of the only two that were ever a big thing for me. And yeah, I stopped looking at them for like 3 to 4 months last year. It overlapped with tour. I know that because I was explaining it to Khan when we were in line at one of the airports that we were at, I remember. And I had already been doing it for a couple months. So I don't remember the exact timeline of when it happened, but it was like the longest break that I've ever taken from social media. And since I started consuming it, like during college, I guess. And it was awesome. And it felt really, really good, honestly. And it's kind of funny how it happened too. The first thing that happened was I got locked out of my Facebook, which was really funny. Like I got a new phone and, you know, they download your whole phone onto the new phone, but I forgot that I had like an authenticator app to allow me to access my Facebook. And I didn't take the necessary steps to like transfer the authenticator app to your new phone, which is really important, by the way. Like make sure you do that. I had no idea. I needed to like memorize like a 10-digit sequence or something. It was like Bitcoin, dude. It's like that guy that lost like millions because he didn't know the code.
Right. You're like supposed to write it down like physically on a piece of paper and keep it somewhere, right?
Yeah. And the app reminds you like once a month, and I was always like, it's fine. And then sure enough. So like, don't sleep on that. But so I couldn't get into Facebook, and Facebook is kind of funny, right? Because it's a certain demographic. For me, it was like the first one that I was on, which was like freshman year of college. I remember I set up my Facebook. But then by the time this happened, like, last year at some point when I got like locked out of my own Facebook, it wasn't that prominent in my life. Because for me, I think for a lot of people in my age range, it kind of got replaced by Instagram. And Instagram was kind of the one that I felt most connected to, if you will, like the one that was most sort of like current and prominent for me. But I would still check my Facebook. Like I would go on there pretty much daily for, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes. I would like look at what we posted and, read some of the comments and see what the views were looking like and what the engagement was looking like and just kind of get a read. And then maybe I'd like, stumble into the algorithm and scroll the feed a little bit, not nearly as much as TikTok, Instagram. And then, TikTok, both of which were just a lot of mindless scrolling and like just saying to the algorithm, like, show me whatever you got because you know me so well. Facebook was less like that, maybe a little bit, but I was still like spending 20 minutes on there daily. And then I got locked out. And at first I was like, yo, what the hell? Like, this sucks. I would get frustrated when I would try to click in. And it was this whole thing, like I would have had to, like send a picture of my photo ID. And it was just like too much of a hassle to deal with at that time. So I just like kind of let it go. And for the first couple of days I was frustrated. Then 3, 4, 5, 6 days go by, completely forgot that it was ever a thing. And then one day it dawned on me, like a couple weeks after not being able to access my Facebook, and I was like, that's not a thing anymore. Like, and guess what? I don't care. That was the crazy. It was like, I don't feel bad about it at all. And then it like dawned on me, wow, I got like 20 minutes of my day back. Like every single day that I used to just spend doing this thing. And now after just like 2 weeks of detachment from the thing, I don't miss it at all. And that was like very profound, And it just got me thinking where I was like, okay, if I can just divorce from Facebook for 2 weeks and not care anymore, where it was like, I'm not even going to send in my ID. I don't even want to get access anymore. My team obviously still had access. So they were able to post on my behalf, which was imperative, obviously. But me personally, it was like, I don't even want to get back in there. Like, this is great. My life is better now. That's 20 minutes back under my control that I can use intentionally. And then I thought, well, if that's the case, what would happen if I did the same thing with like Instagram and even TikTok, which had started to come into my world. And the TikTok algorithm is crazy, right? Like that one's insane.
It's crazy.
That one's insane. It learns you so fast, and it's full vertical, and it fills the whole phone. And it's just that's why I guess every platform is basically just biting TikTok fully and incorporating what TikTok does directly into their platform, because they're just like, oh yeah, they figured it out. It's like the maximum way of getting you in the scroll. And so that was becoming an issue too, where I was just spending too much time on there. And so I had that thought, what would happen if I disconnected from those two? And so I said, well, I'm going to try it. And for the first couple days, it was really hard. Like, just because it was so instinctive to pull the phone out. So anytime I was like bored or at a transition point, like going from one activity to the next, there's all these moments throughout the day that I'm just like trained to just like pull my phone out and just like scroll right to those apps. It's like I don't even think about it. I know exactly where they live on the phone, like how many scrolls to the right and the upper right corner. It's like, that's Instagram, that's that little dopamine button. And then, wherever TikTok lives, it's so just like built in.
People talk about that feeling when, if you're ever like scrolling on Facebook, let's say, and then you close the app and then you catch yourself as soon as you close it, you like scrolled over and tapped on it again. Like in that mindless, you're like, wait, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I just got out of this.
That's hilarious. Yeah. It's kind of like the whole thing of like, you go all the way upstairs in your house to get something, and then when you're upstairs, you forgot what you wanted,
Exactly.
and you go back downstairs, you immediately remember. But yeah, dude, no, I relate to that so much. And so for the first couple of days, it would literally be like, I would start that thing of going to it, and then I would catch myself at some point in the process. Like maybe I had just opened the app, or ideally like right before I opened the app. And I remember one moment just being like, no, and I threw the phone on my bed. Like I was in my bedroom standing up, and I was starting to do it. I was like, what are you doing? I like threw it. So it was tough in the beginning just to remember that I was even doing it. Like that part alone was hard. Just like reminding myself like, oh yeah, that's no longer, it'd be like suddenly you can't flip the light switches on in your house or something. It'd be like hard to remember not to do it because as soon as you walk in the closet, you hit the light switch. By the way, I don't think that's a habit that anybody needs to break. You know, you can use your lights. It's totally fine. But yeah, man. So I stopped. And then, after a week or two, it was kind of like I was over the hump and it felt amazing. It was so dope. I didn't need to look at them anymore. And actually, I felt relieved to not have to look at them, which is crazy because it was such a nice vacation from like reading the comments, for example, on my own videos or seeing what DMs are coming in. Like sometimes that can be sort of nerve-wracking, you know, like, oh, what if somebody said something mean? Or what if like somebody I look up to DM me and now I'm nervous to open it and read it? Or what if I read something and now they're on scene? And there's just all these weird things. And if you don't deal with any of that, that's fantastic. I'm super happy for you. For whatever reason, for me, those things can cause a certain level of anxiety. So it was like a huge relief to just like not even have to deal with that at all. And, similar to when I decided I was going to stop drinking and smoking weed, it was kind of like I went into it being like, I don't know how long this will be. I'm just going to take it one day at a time and just see how I feel. And it felt so good that it ended up being, like I said, 3 to 4 months. I can't remember exactly how long, but something like that. It was a really long time. And then I had a habit tracker at a certain point, and I was kind of like every day checking off that I didn't do it, which made me feel really good about myself.
Is that for the substances or for the social media?
No, sorry, for social media. Okay, social media, yeah. And then after those 3 to 4 months, at a certain point, I started creeping back into it. And it was kind of like, I think the reason I dipped back into social media really was because I wanted to start recording songs and releasing like visuals for the music. And I wanted to see what that landscape looked like. And so it was kind of like a research thing where I wanted to get inspired and see what artists that I'm a fan of, like how are they promoting their recorded music on social media? Because in terms of promoting like what I do off the top of the dome, we got that very dialed in, that's something that I'm very familiar with and comfortable with. And it's also a much smaller niche, so there's not as many people doing that. But with music, that's obviously sort of like new uncharted territory for me in many ways. So I wanted to sort of like see what that might look like for me and get some ideas and get some inspiration. So that's what brought me back in. And then, of course, it quickly became a thing that I was wasting too much time on and just, I was getting sucked into the scroll more than I wanted to be. And for me, it's the whole thing of like not being intentional with my time. And like, I didn't mean to spend half an hour at like 1 p.m. on this random Tuesday just being shown things that an algorithm knows I love. And yet here I am, and I'll never get that half hour back. So it started to bother me, and I'm sure this is something that maybe a lot of people listening to this can relate to, because I mean, this is one of the challenges of our time, I think, is, we have these incredible devices in our pockets and there's so many good things about it, but learning how to use it in a way that's healthy and balance it and make sure that you are being intentional with your time is one of the hardest things when, these apps are basically designed to show us what we want to see and to hold our attention for as long as possible. Everybody's fighting for your attention. So yeah, it just started to bother me again very recently. And so I considered actually buying a dumbphone. And if you guys don't know, you can just like Google dumbphone. It's a thing. Like the first thing I did was Google like Nokia brick. And shout out to anybody who knows what I'm talking about. If your first cell phone was a Nokia brick, i.e. not a flip phone, just a straight up singular block, then you know what I'm talking about. The one with Snake on it. I was like, man, I wish I had that, calls, texts, whatever. And I considered doing it. And it's really funny, actually. Yeah, there's the Nokia brick, for example. I don't know if I ever had that blue one. I knew people that had that one. I think I had a gray one, but yeah, dude, it's bringing me right back. And it's funny, actually, on the Nokia site, there's a page called like about dumb phones. It's hilarious. And it's like, even though the name might seem condescending, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to go back to a so-called dumb phone. Like, it's really hilarious. But yeah, totally. Sure. So I was like, man, I don't want all these algorithms. And there's actually a really stylish, dope one called the Light phone, which is like a popular tool. It's kind of more recent. and it's the same type of screen as a Kindle. So it's like there's no blue light. It's, however that isn't. I think a Kindle is like an Etch-a-Sketch, basically. It's like a magnet under sand, kind of.
Right.
So this is that same type of thing, and it just has like your phone, your notes, your alarm, calculator. I'm reading this off the screen now, but it just has very basic things. And then, of course, the biggest complaint was like, well, what about now I don't have navigation, right? There's a lot of things on the smartphone we take for granted, and they've since added navigation. So I was looking into that and considering getting the light phone. But there's this other thing that happens too, where it's like we just acknowledged with like the navigation, there are sometimes I'll speak for me. Sometimes I fetishize this idea of like going back in time as though that's going to like fix all my problems. Like, oh, if I just get the dumb phone, so I don't even have the option to look at social media and I don't even have the apps, like that will fix my life. And I think that, and for some people it might be great, and a lot of people have this light phone and a lot of people love it, I'm sure, and maybe it would have been a cool thing. But I think for me, it can kind of be a little bit of a trap. It's just like another sort of mental game that I'm playing with myself. And then like what happens when I get to the restaurant and I need to scan the QR code for the menu, and I'm just like, oh, God damn it. Or what happens when I'm at the airport on tour and I need to check in for the flight? And I just have this phone that does nothing. I'm just like, okay, like, wow, there are a lot of things you might not think about. Side tangent real quick, follow me on my side quest. I had considered getting a CRT TV for my N64. It's another very popular thing to do right now. The old school curved screen. And, the N64 looks way better on that because it has worse graphics and it's the way it was intended to look. It was designed for that. And then I read this hilarious article from this guy who was like, I also fetishize the CRT TV. I ordered mine. It didn't come with the remote. That's when I realized I couldn't change the source for the input without the remote, which sent me on a 2-week journey to use electronic stores to find a compatible remote. And after trying 3 different remotes, none were compatible. And it's like, I use the other plugin where it's through a channel, but if you don't have the antenna ears, you can't even get the video game to come in clear. And it was just like, the whole premise of the article was hilarious. And I related to it so much about how fetishizing the past tools is cool and all until you get them and realize how many modern features you take for granted. So anyway, I decided not to actually get the dumb phone. And I also realized for me, like, I think it would be more noble to have the ability to have all the bullshit, to have the algorithm, to have the ability to go into the algorithm for a whole day and waste my entire day and to choose not to do it, that would be better. Or just to figure out what my limitations are going to be, because I don't think it has to be so black and white, cold turkey, whatever. But to figure out how to have a healthy relationship with the app, feels more aligned with like something that's sustainable and reasonable and not so black and white, as opposed to being like, just take the apps away forever and let me just use a phone that can't even access them. So I decided against it, but I did see this really cool video online about turning my iPhone into a dumb phone. And I can't remember the name of the dude that made it, but it was great. We can probably find it and link it in the show notes. For sure. But it's really cool. Basically, I was going to show you, but I realized it probably won't be in focus or anything. But essentially, the home screen of my iPhone doesn't have any apps on it because I downloaded this app. I don't remember the name of it, but we'll link that too. And it makes it so that your home screen is just a text list. So like it just literally says, like we use Discord as a team. So it says Discord. We use Notion, which is an organizational app. So it says Notion. It says web, which is Chrome. It says I have a few others listed out, which and none of the social media platforms are listed there. But it's all the things that I might use on a daily basis to conduct my life. My calendar, obviously, my notes app. But they're just listed as text on a black background. And it's amazing, by the way, what that alone does. It's so different to not open your phone and just see all the colorful, cool little app squares like yelling out to you. It's so much less like engaging in a good way. It's just plain text, white text on a black background. And what's so cool about it, in my view, is it makes it it reminds you of what the smartphone should be, in my opinion, which is a tool. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, this is a tool, much like a notebook. or any other kind of reference, you know, or even like a calculator or something like that, if you can imagine. It's like this, it's not just like a super fun computer with everything all at once all the time. Yeah, I think that's the video right there.
Is that kind of what it looks like?
That's exactly what it looks like.
Okay.
That's exactly what it looks
we'll
like.
have to pull that video for later, but I was curious.
Yeah. So that's been really cool. And I'm excited to go on this journey. It's a new development. I still have the social apps on my phone. And so I'm not like fully off them yet. I'll still scroll over there like a couple times a day and look, but I try to do it less. And automatically, I'm doing it way less just by reconfiguring my smartphone to be a dumb phone. So if any of you are struggling with that, too much time being fed things from an algorithm and wanting to move away from that, I highly recommend checking this out. And I think it works for Android too. So yeah, you got options. But check it out, man. Smartphone is now a dumb phone. And in addition, like I said, starting more notebooks, which feels really, really cool. And another thing I'm proud of that I want to share with you all, because I appreciate you guys so much, and I like to share my accomplishments with you guys. I'm doing these notebooks the right way for me, which is I am not trying to make them perfect, which sometimes gets in the way of having them be effective tools, right? Like sometimes when you get a new notebook, like in the past I would get a new notebook and then I would start like with the perfect handwriting, you know? I'm like, this is going to be the perfect notebook. And then like eventually I'd like write the wrong thing in the wrong place and be like, fuck. And I like literally like grab like a razor so I can perfectly like extract that page so that like no one would ever know. It's like, dude, this is total bullshit. Like for me, if you're into that and you know, there are craftspeople out there who love doing it like that, and notebooks are a way for them to like be creative and artistic, and that's awesome, and I love that. But for me, a notebook is a tool. It's meant to help my life. It's me recording my thoughts, you know, all in one place, and it's really awesome because after like a year, you can go back and read what you were on. Like a practice journal is so cool because a year from now, I can look back at what I was practicing a year prior and be like, oh, wow, I've come so far in that area. Or, oh, wow, I forgot that at one point I wanted to work on this. I should probably bring this back and just see my little notes to self and my thoughts. And I think it's such a cool thing to be able to document all of that and not have it just live in your brain. And there are so many thoughts and realizations and occurrences that come to us throughout the day, right? And if we don't record them anywhere, they just often get forgotten. And so that's what these notebooks are for me, and I'm really enjoying like the first mess up, the first word I have to cross through. I'm really enjoying just like not having great handwriting and just being messy on the page and little arrows pointing to another area and just like letting it be totally like that. You know, the notebooks look like my mind, which is in no way perfect and organized. And that's been really, really fun. So let me know, you know, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or anywhere where you can leave comments, let me know if you guys are into journaling and what kind of journals and notebooks you keep around. Do you carry one on your person at all times? Do you have a big one at home that you deal with at the beginning of the day or the end of the day? What kind of things are you guys doing? Like I said, I'm doing the reading log. I'm going to start carrying a small one on me, I think, for random thoughts throughout the day. I'm doing the practice journal and still doing the morning pages. So stoked to be on that journey.
I always go through the same exact process of that you just laid out, basically. Like, all right, I got a new like habit tracker, a new like task notebook. Starting off trying to like, all right, this is where I'm going to write the goals. Then I'm going to have like a checklist on this portion of the page.
Yeah.
Fast forward like 3 hours, I'm writing sideways, like on a page in the middle of it. And you know what? That's always what inevitably happens. And I like it, man. I can find what I need to find. It's probably like nobody else could probably decipher what's happening there. But hey, like that's where it always ends up with. And it's always exciting trying to start in that organized way. But I'm kind of done fighting it to a certain extent. Dude,
totally. I mean, when the historians, like, you know, are dealing with your notebooks, trying to decode them, that's their problem, Good luck. Know? As long as it's helpful for you, that's the whole point. And that's great that you're able to get there. Because for me, it would sometimes it would discourage me from the whole process. Sure. Like, I'd be like, yo, I'm going to do this whole perfect notebook, just like you said. I'm like trying to think through every issue before it occurs. Like proactively create the perfect system. And, you know, it doesn't exist. There's no perfect system, you know? So as soon as I realize it's not perfect, I'd be like, man, fuck this notebook, you know, set it aside and not end up reaping all the benefits that it could offer if I just didn't care about it being perfect.
The perfect systems, whatever, will keep you coming back to it to serve
Exactly.
like, some sort of purpose.
Exactly.
And we could go on forever about the like social media kind of like addiction almost.
Yeah.
But I did hear something the other day that I thought was really interesting. I think it was from a behavioral scientist, like on, it might have been like Rogan or something. I was on a road trip, so it was just playing all these podcasts. But
Nice.
this guy was talking about how in Vegas he was studying what was the attraction of like slot machines.
Yeah.
Seen as they're everywhere in Vegas. I mean, like a restaurant, the casinos, obviously, airport, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're never empty. People are there. And he's like, what is that science behind it? Anyways, he got to this point where he was talking about this like warehouse on the edge of Vegas where it's a fake casino where they use it to study. They bring people in and they do human studies. And they're like, what is it for? The casinos? And he goes, honestly, the majority is for tech companies that when they figure out what the different time is between when you get your reward, you press this, it'll refresh. The app companies are using these to, you know, to take those same findings and just keep people coming back.
Dude, that's insane, man. Wow. I want to tour that warehouse. That sounds fascinating.
Sounds crazy, yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm not surprised at all. Like, have you ever noticed you'll be like, when I'm scrolling, right before I'm about to dip, usually the little sliver of the next thing is the most compelling thing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, they know I'm about to dip. You know, they're showing me it's like their last ditch effort to be like, and Harry's about to leave the app. So show him refurbished MPC 60, making a sample based beat, you know, or whatever. For me, it's a lot of music related, like gear stuff. But yeah, dude, shit is wild. Yeah. How many slot machines are in Vegas?
I don't know how many. Do you know?
We looked it up during the MGM shoot. There's 200,000 roughly.
200,000. I don't even know. It's so abstract. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah. I think it was 200,000. Yeah, 200,000.
It's crazy.
Slot machines.
Yeah. The science behind it, though, it's wild. Like you're saying there, like, so they found out like every minute the average amount of presses on a slot machine is like 16 or something like that. So, so then they figure out that's the amount of time that like someone's attention span goes. And TikTok's probably like, all right, well, he's slowing down on the music gear stuff. Like, what's the other corner of his fascination? Give him a little look there. You have this amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of love it at certain times.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is also like it doesn't feel good when you realize, oh, that was 20 minutes. I thought it was 5.
Yeah,
was like,
exactly. And yeah, like to be clear, like I am not anti, you know. I think that's really dangerous too, you know. Any time that it's too black and white in thinking, you know, or too extreme, it's probably worth being curious at least, you know, because I don't want to be like, oh, social media is the end of humanity and it's all bad. Because obviously I don't feel that way because I post my content on social media and I'm trying to build an audience there very intentionally and I want people to watch my content and I feel like what I'm making is hopefully spreading joy and I'm not alone. There's a lot of people that are making really positive stuff and really like educational stuff. Like I've learned a lot from like things that I've seen on social media. Obviously you have to be careful and check your sources, and if you're not familiar with who's giving you the information, that's worth being curious about as well. But there's a lot of good to it. And, you know, in theory, the boxes are empty until we fill them. You know, we as human beings fill these empty boxes, these empty platforms with our stuff, you know? So they're kind of like an honest reflection of where we are at as society for good and bad, you know? But so I'm not anti, but yeah, I mean, it is like a little slot machine in your pocket and it will just keep feeding you that. It's like a dopamine drip.
Right.
It'll just keep giving you just enough to where you don't really have to change what you're doing if you don't want to.
And it's awesome. It's a great spot though for artists these days. Like I truly think like some of the talent that I see from vocalists, from rappers, from, you know, people making beats, anything. Like the next generation is like, that's where they're coming up from most of the time these days. And
definitely.
It's insane the amount of talent that you can find on there.
Oh, dude, it's wild, dude. Yeah, a lot of times my explore page or whatever will just be like a really sick drummer and then a really sick beat maker and then a really sick rapper and then like I've discovered a lot of really incredible musicians and creators on there. So it's dope. You just got to be mindful. You know,
for sure, man.
Yeah,
we did grab some questions for some fans. If you're good to dive into some of those,
dude, absolutely. Let's do it. And before we do, just want to give a quick plug here. We want to hear from you guys. All right. Ask me your questions, share your thoughts. You can type them up and send them through that way. You can record a voice memo and drop us an MP3. You can probably record a video and send, I don't know. Can we, do we figure out if you can do that? Maybe you can.
I believe so. Yeah. We've got a spot to basically upload a file. So you could upload like an MP3 right there, an MP4, whatever you need, because that's a lot of times we've gotten videos for the freestyle submissions.
Yes.
But you could also just, drop a video if you want and to, just ask you anything or
hell yeah.
Whatever comes to mind.
Beautiful. So that's what we want to do. We want to hear from you guys. HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. All the information is there. And yeah, since you mentioned the freestyles, by the way, to any aspiring freestylers out there or professional freestylers or people just getting started, wherever you're at on your journey, man, I would love to have you guys submit some freestyles. And we actually have some pre-approved beats that won't get us flagged for copyright. You have to record it to one of those beats or we won't be able to react to it. But we have been able to react to some really fun freestyles submitted from the audience. So to all the freestylers out there, man, HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. Make sure you use one of our pre-approved beats and send it through. I'd love to check in with y'all and, offer some feedback and advice if I can. All right, so let's get into some of these questions here. Let's see what we got. First one is coming from Mastermind. Hell yeah. Very on brand with Flow State. Shout out to Mastermind. And the question is, what book are you currently reading? Hell yes. Love this question. Just went to the bookstore yesterday with Lisa and got a pretty sizable haul of books. I love bookstores. One of my favorite places to be. Yeah, so great. They always smell good too. And they don't all smell the same. They all have, I think like bookstores, I don't know if it's candles or incense. Some of it is probably the books themselves, like the smell of paper and ink. Dude, I don't know, but this one that I went to smells really good, and I love going there. And yeah, we got a lot of books. So I went because I had just finished a book the night before. So that would have been the night before yesterday of this filming, which is not at all aligned with when it comes out. But anyway, double digits, episode 10, hopefully. But yeah, so I just started reading a new book last night, and the funny thing about it is it's not the type of book I would normally read. It's a fiction book, and normally I read nonfiction, but this is a fiction book by the world-renowned Stephen King, and it's called The Outsider. So, and it's pretty thick. It's like 560 pages or something like that.
Nice. They did a HBO show on this like 3 years ago or something. It's pretty spooky, actually. I liked it.
Oh, nice. You watched it?
Yeah, for sure. I had like Jason Bateman in it.
Oh.
It was really interesting. I don't know how much it stuck to the book, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's a sticker on the front that says HBO series coming soon. And I thought that was funny because I was like, well, they don't know when I'm here buying this. And I'm pretty sure. And Lisa was like, oh, yeah, that's a show. So I was like, anyway, but yeah, man. So it's a page turner, man. I sat there last night and I read like 60 pages, which is more than I usually read in one sitting by like double. Normally I read like 20 to 30 pages at a time. But yeah, man, it's got me going. And I'm just excited to be reading some fiction because I read so much nonfiction. I read to learn. And, I kind of like read to better myself in many ways. And I can share, I'll share in a minute, like some of the books that I've read so far this year and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But sometimes I feel like after I do that, if I read like a few books in a row that are nonfiction and talking a lot about scientific studies and things you can do to improve your mind and improve your effectiveness and work better with other people, whatever it is, I think it's good I was anyway feeling like I needed to let some of that information kind of simmer, and not just dive right back into another one. And that's a big thing for me too, is like, man, sometimes you can read these great books with so much great information in them, but if you just read it cover to cover and then shut it and put it back on the shelf and don't really ever think about it again, you can't really put that stuff into use. So that's just another challenge with reading in general. But yeah, I'm excited to be reading a fiction book. And, I think what's cool and what I sort of realize as well is I read to learn, and I can learn a lot from reading fiction as well. Like Stephen King is like one of the most celebrated storytellers ever, like so many of his, he's kind of like the GOAT of writing novels, at least one of them, I don't know the space that well to be fair, but certainly one of the most famous, and so many of his books have been turned into movies and TV shows, so like his stories are just like unanimously loved by many. And it's so cool to read that style and realize that like fiction blows my mind just in the sense that I'm creating this movie in my head that is not actually the movie that Stephen King saw in his head when he wrote it. And that every single person who reads fiction creates their own movie in their own head based on their own memories and experiences. And that's what's crazy, is that like a fiction book is, and I actually, it's cool because I read Stephen King's only nonfiction book called On Writing, where he talks about his process. It was so good. I read it a few years ago, but he had this cool thing that made me start to think in these terms of like creating our own imagery in our own heads, and it's different for everybody. And he was like, writing is not writing. That's the first thing you need to know. Writing is alchemy, because I'm putting certain words on a page that are making you, who's reading those same words that I'm putting on the page, create your own imagery in your own head based on your own memories and experiences. And I just think like that's amazing. That concept is so fucking cool. And the use of like metaphor and comparisons and like the verbs choices and like choosing the words that are going to be juicy enough to conjure those really rich images and actually like encourage the writer to dig deeper into their memories and pull more details into the story that's being told it's such a cool art form. So yeah, stoked to be doing that. And like I said, I started the reading log, which is very simple. I just write the title of the book and how many pages I read in it. And now that I have the reading log, I think I might attempt to read multiple books at the same time, which is something I've done in the past, but often I would forget about books that I was reading and not finish any of them. So now that I have this log, I feel more confident that I can kind of start multiple paths at the same time and not actually fully forget about any books. I don't think I'll do more than 2 at a time, but I might, once I'm into this fiction book, start a nonfiction at the same time and kind of be able to toggle between those two worlds a little bit. So I'm excited about that.
Gonna start sounding like Cat Williams. I don't know if you heard that like podcast. He's like, man, I read like 6 or 7 at a time.
Oh, really? No, I haven't heard that. That's epic.
About to get to that level.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And I will as well. I could share should I share some of the other books I've read this year?
Yeah, I would love that.
So yeah, this year, so my goal was to read 2 books a month so that I would have read 24 books at the end of the year. I'm a little behind. I finished my 4th book. I'm starting my 5th book, and we're recording this halfway through March. So I'm like a book behind. But anyway, the first book I read this year was Limitless by Jim Kwik, who I've actually mentioned on the podcast a couple times. But if you guys are not hip to Jim Kwik, check him out. Dude is amazing. Type it into YouTube. He has a podcast as well and makes a lot of content about the brain. Jim and then Kwik spelled Kwik, which is the perfect name for this dude because his brain is beyond sharp. And the book is basically about learning how to learn. And I guess the main premise is sort of like in the school system traditionally, we're taught a lot of things, but we're not taught the most important thing, which is how to learn. You know, like there's not really a segment in schooling on like, this is how you learn things. And so that's what this book kind of deals with is how to learn new skills, how to extract information from books and actually remember it, you know, so it's not that issue I was addressing earlier where you finish the book, put it on the shelf, and then it doesn't really change anything about your life. There's a lot of really epic stuff about memory, and that's actually what first turned me on to Jim Kwik. He's a memory master. This dude is amazing. You'll see on YouTube, he'll do these master classes in public, you know, like he'll do a keynote, for example, at some type of conference, and he'll go on the stage in front of a room of, you know, hundreds of people, and you know, to kind of like get the audience hype, he'll be like, okay, I need like some 2-digit numbers. Can you guys just kind of like raise your hand if you have a 2-digit number, anything between, anything with 2 digits, right? So he'll reach out, 33, okay, 33, you know, 67, 67, all right, 92, you know, and the list, it goes so much longer than you think it's going to go. And he has somebody in the front row writing them down. Like he asks a volunteer in the front row to write them all down. And it takes like a decent amount of time, at least a few minutes, and he ends up with like probably 50 2-digit numbers, and then he runs through them from memory from the beginning to the end. It's insane. Wow. Then he gives the whole keynote, and then at the end of the keynote, he's like, just for fun, do you still have the list of numbers? And they pull him up, and he does them in reverse.
What?
It's insane. And admittedly, he's like, this is a party trick. Like, this is basically a shtick just because it gets the crowd going. But I just want to show you guys like what's possible, and anybody can do this. It's just about it's about training your brain, and obviously you can use that to memorize things that are important to you. And there's a lot of cool stuff in that book also about like taking on more positive like beliefs and mindsets, which is something I've talked about on the podcast. Like, it's great to say that, like, oh, I have all these limiting self-beliefs. I wish I had positive, like, affirming self-beliefs. Yeah, like, we all wish that, right? But how do you actually, like, make that switch? When you're so in the habit of saying negative things about yourself, it's not as easy as just deciding one day, well, now I'll start saying positive things about myself, right? So he has some great stuff in there. So started with that one. Then I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, I think is the author's name. And that's basically a modern classic. I'm sure a lot of you listening to this have read that as well, but it was really great to read and to learn about the fact that we don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. And if we get 1% better every day, after a year, we'll be a completely different person. So really good read and fast read, recommended for everybody. After that, I read How I Built This by Guy Raz, who has a podcast called How I Built This that's really, really popular, where he talks in depth with entrepreneurs about their journey. So how I built this, as in how I built this company or brand. And it's really good. The book was very inspiring. It's kind of like Shark Tank on steroids in book form. But each chapter deals with each chapter deals with a specific issue for entrepreneurs and business owners, like how to raise capital, how to scale, various things of that nature. And there's a lot of chapters. I don't know how many, but it was a lot. Like, felt like there were 40 or 50 topics that it dealt with. And then there was like a entrepreneur, one or two entrepreneurs in each chapter used as like the case study and example. So really cool on the business tip for anybody out there that's like building their own thing, whether you're just like, building a personal brand on social media or like trying to build a clothing line or anything like that, build any kind of business. Super inspiring and good information. And then the book that I just finished reading a couple nights ago is called Self-Compassion. And the author's name, I believe, is Kristin Neff. And it was really good. It was really good. Self-compassion. So it's all about, she kind of helped develop this concept and legitimize it within the space of mental health, this idea of self-compassion. And basically compassion in general is relating to other people's suffering, right? So that's what compassion is like, if somebody else in the world is suffering, you're relating to that suffering and, helping comfort them through that process and letting them know that everything's going to be okay and things of that nature, and helping to support them in their time of need. And so self-compassion is just the concept of doing the same thing inward. So you turn inward in your times of suffering and provide yourself with that support. You relate to your own suffering and allow yourself to self-soothe. And it's really fascinating. It was mind-blowing stuff. I think, for me, it was really good to read this information because I hold myself to a very high standard and I'm always pushing myself. And I'll be honest, I sometimes am mean to myself in my head, and I think a lot of people maybe can relate to that. Like, we say things often to ourselves that if we ever said aloud to somebody else, it would be completely unacceptable. Like, if you said it out loud to a friend, they would no longer be your friend. Like if you've ever missed your exit on the highway when you were running late and been like, God damn, I'm so fucking stupid. A lot of us have said that. Like, I've said that many times, I try to say it less now, but for sure, I've said it countless times, right? Or things of that nature. You would never turn to somebody else. If you were being driven somewhere and they missed the exit, you would never turn to them and say, you're so fucking stupid. That would just be ridiculous. It would be horrible. Even the thought of it is just oh no, never. But we say these things to ourselves all day. And so that's a big part of this book, is learning how to say kind things to yourself, recognize when you're struggling, when you're suffering, another cool part of the book was it talked about self-esteem and how so often self-esteem is what's being promoted. And self-esteem is good, in the sense that it can make you feel happy and stuff when you have high self-esteem, but self-esteem, as she explains, is usually based on doing well. So it's if you're good at something, if you're good at basketball and you keep winning, you're going to have high self-esteem. But what happens when you lose? Often your self-esteem is based on you doing good at something, and then the moment you feel like you're not doing good at that thing, you can suddenly crash into low self-esteem and you feel horrible about yourself. So the cool thing about self-compassion is it doesn't matter how good or bad you're doing. And actually, it's most useful when you're going through a hard time and maybe you're making a lot of mistakes and you're really struggling and you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. That's when this self-compassion can be much more valuable than self-esteem, because it's when you're struggling that you need to support yourself in that way. And there's a lot of cool stuff in there about how suffering actually connects us all as human beings. So even though it feels isolating to be in pain and to be suffering, every human being is at one time or another suffering and in pain. And so in that sense, it's not you all by yourself suffering and struggling. It's that very suffering is what connects you to all of humanity, which is kind of a dope way of looking at it. So lots of cool frames like that in the book. But that's what I've read so far. And now I'm on to Stephen King.
Nice.
Fiction.
Variety.
Let's go. Yeah.
Do you go in looking for a book about a certain topic, like let's say self-compassion, because it's something you're identifying that you're currently like kind of looking for? Or are you just diving into like, a bank of books that have been recommended by people and things like that?
Yeah, it's a mixture of both. But I kind of I like going to bookstores because I like kind of going in with no plan and then just seeing what stands out to me, as opposed to like Amazon. Like I'll search books on Amazon if I'm like looking for something very specific or got a recommendation. But once I'm in the store, things stand out to me for different reasons, both of the reasons you mentioned. Like sometimes I'll see a book and be like, oh, I've heard that's a classic. Sure. Like I've heard that talked about on like 10 different podcasts. Let me buy this one. And then other times, like with self-compassion, I'd never heard of it, but I just, the title caught me and I read the back and I was like, yeah, this is something I've been thinking about, learning how to be nicer to myself. And so, the content's kind of just struck me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I just realized I forgot to start the clock earlier, but I'll keep you in the loop. We're about 40 in right now, by the way.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no worries. I looked down at the clock and it was telling me the temperature and I was like, damn, I don't think that's going to help.
It's got some info for you.
Yeah. All right. From Max. Max asks, will you release the complete recordings of the live shows at some point? Wow, great question. I don't know. It's possible. Anything is possible. We record everything, audio and video, most shows, every show really, we record. So, it's all there in a vault. And as you guys know, most of you who are fans of the content and following along, we release, a lot of content from the shows, the Behind the Bars series, which Sam murders, full-on documentaries of us traveling around the world doing shows and other things, collaborations and whatever else is happening out and about. So, a lot of our favorite moments from the shows come out, but there's so many great moments at this point. Like, we are eternally behind. We were going chronologically for a while, and then, like, before this last tour, the Odyssey tour, I was like, yo, let's break the chronological part of it because now, like, it's going to take years before we can get any of the current stuff out. So we kind of, like, skipped ahead, and sometimes we'll do throwback stuff. So, so we want to get all of our favorite moments out to the people. I don't know if we'll ever release the complete recordings in full, but you never know. That kind of sounds like a dope move when you're like, when I'm like 70 or something, it'll be like the complete live shows. Like there's, those big box sets, like the complete Miles Davis, all the Columbia recordings, and it's like, 12 discs or whatever. Could be cool, but to be determined.
Yeah, like it's hard to say because you jump around beats and stuff with jazz on stage, but each show, how many songs are like being created there, do you think?
Well,
every show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because there are extended sections as well that are more like a free flow blend kind of thing. And sometimes little mini songs will sneak their way into those. But, there's at least 2 or 3 kind of like 15-minute blends. And then there's at least 4 or 5 self-contained like songs with like chorus verse structure. So, it's basically like a EP or album really every night.
It's crazy to think about because it's such a unique, you don't really have your built out set list on the stage ready to fire up this song. It's just brand new each time.
Totally.
Super
which
unique.
I love, man. Like that's my favorite part of the show is being able to do that. And I think like one of the concerns doing a fully improvised show is it going to resonate and connect with the audience in the same way as a traditional show where usually you show up for an artist that you love and you have the lyrics memorized to all their biggest songs, and you're waiting for them to do these specific songs that mean so much to you. And that's such a powerful thing, like a room full of people all singing the lyrics together. I don't have that really, with my show. But at the same time, that was a fun creative challenge for me to be like, well, how can I still connect in a really deep, meaningful way? And it's been crazy the way that's evolved. Like, it's wild to me. We'll be out in Europe. Like, we were in Paris, and I'm holding out the mic for like the word that I'm setting up, and they're so dialed into the way that I freestyle and the whole setup, punchline structure that I use. I'm able to set it up in a clear way and hold the mic out, and they're yelling out discombobulated. You know, it's just like, wow, that's insane. And I make up hooks on the fly and establish them, and when the hooks come back around, it's like the audience is yelling out the key phrases from the hooks, and so it still feels really big and connected, which is important to me.
That's even with like a second language for many of them.
I know. It's mind-blowing, dude. Yeah. It's crazy. Cool. Yeah. So cool. Yeah, until I can freestyle in other languages, dude, that's going to be a huge unlock, you know? Yeah, because it is wild, like, how much of the world I'm not even talking to. Sometimes that dawns on me, and I'm just like, no, we must do more. But, yeah, I don't know. So, Jim Kwik, man. Let me learn. Jim Kwik, I'm going to be learning some language with Jim Kwik's tools. No, we'll see. All right, let's see. Todd is asking who inspired you. Oh, man. So many people inspired me. Let's see. As a freestyler, well, the first time I saw somebody improvise and understood really what that meant was Wayne Brady on Whose Line Is It Anyway? When I was really young, 2nd or 3rd grade. Blew my mind. I was like, what's the trick? How's he doing that? And so just staying on the freestyle tip, you know, when I was in 5th or 6th grade, started seeing 106 in Park, the Freestyle Fridays, which were basically like improvised off top rap battles. And that blew my mind as well. So exciting. Somewhere around there, I went to the music store, Music Millennium, and one of the recommended CDs from the staff was MC Supernatural Lost Freestyle Files. And Supernat is like, you know, the certified GOAT of freestyle. And so I took that home, and it just shattered my reality. Shout out to Supernat. Through that, there's a battle with this dude named Juice, a legendary battle between Supernat and Juice. Then I became aware of who Juice was. He's another great freestyler. For him, it wasn't really CDs. I was just mostly like seeing him online in videos, freestyling on like Sway and Sway and Tech and various other radio shows and battles. Yeah, Idea is the first person that I saw freestyle live, opening up for Atmosphere, who I was a huge fan of in middle school. Shout out to Atmosphere, and I'm still a fan of that music. It's really great. And saw them live a couple times. And one of the times I saw them live in Portland, Idea and Abilities were opening up. Rest in peace, by the way. Idea is no longer living, but he did this. He was an amazing freestyler and did it as like a big part of his set. Like the last 10 minutes of his set, at least, he was just going off top and just going so fucking crazy. And the crowd was just like explosive. And I was like, this is insane. This is insane. So those are some of like my early influences in terms of being an off-top freestyler. And but I was also just inspired. I'm so inspired by rappers who write songs, you know. So with that, like, you know, Nas is my favorite rapper, as I've said many times. I was shown Illmatic when I was in 6th grade, so that would have been like at least 8 years after it came out, I think, if my math serves me. It came out in 1994, and I was probably hearing it in 2003 or something. So yeah, blew my mind. So that inspired me a lot. I also went through a heavy like indie rap phase. So like I said, I was into Atmosphere, also like A$AP Rock, Definitive Jux, LP, Mr. Liff. Yeah, just and on. A lot of like underground stuff. Zion I, Black Alicious was my favorite rap group for a long, long time. Rest in peace to Gifted Gab, one of the greatest rappers ever. Jurassic 5. Lots of stuff like that, lots of underground stuff. And then also hearing the radio and what was popular at the time was like, you know, the Neptunes, the Clips, all types of stuff, man. 50 Cent was going crazy. I wasn't really a fan of 50 Cent at that time because it wasn't underground, so I used to hate on the mainstream. But he definitely still influenced me, you know, because it was playing everywhere and I was soaking it up, whether through osmosis, whether I wanted to or not. Yeah, so a lot of different artists have influenced me, and then I was also a drummer, and I was just insanely influenced by like early blues, Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. That's actually, I should mention that first. That's the first music I fell in love with very young, like baby, before I was forming memories even. I recognized Howlin' Wolf's voice on the radio. Like his song came on and I was like, that's that guy. Loved Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters. And then I also fell in love with James Brown and am still very much in love with James Brown. That's like, to me, that's like the best music that exists. And Clyde Stubblefield is one of James Brown's drummers and one of my favorite drummers ever. And that music just like rocked my world, you know, and my concept of rhythm and time. It's just, yeah, it's insane. James Brown, everybody in the band has immaculate time, including James Brown. Like when he's going, yeah, huh, good God, all that stuff is like the pocket of it. Like every time he does that, my like chest is like, it's just like, oh my God, what is happening right now? And that's how I felt the first time I heard it, and still to this day. So yeah, that's a huge influence on me. And probably so many other things, man. We saw the Scratch documentary when I was very young in middle school, and that blew my mind. It had like Mixmaster Mike in it, and DJ Q-Bird, and the Invisible Scratch Pickles, and the Executioners, and so many other great turntablists and DJs, and that just blew our mind. So yeah.
Invisible Scratch Pickles?
The Invisible
right?
Scratch Pickles, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, classic group of turntablists who were able to like jam like a band and create melodies with the turntables and stuff. Really dope. But yeah, sick. Those are some of my big ones, you know. Philly Joe Jones was my favorite jazz drummer. So yeah.
Nice. And you dove into that a little bit deeper with jazz too. So if anyone wants to hear it,
at
least like the Scratch documentary, go check out episode 2.
Yes.
And then your parents actually talked about the Howlin' Wolf story a little bit, like at the beginning of the Portland show video. So people can check that out too if they want to hear from Mr. and Mrs. Mack.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Shout out to Howlin' Wolf. Dude, I was just into the rawest shit. The rawest, like, I mean, listen to Howlin' Wolf if you haven't listened. It's like the grittiest, grimiest, rawest blues. And I was just this little baby in Portland just like, yup, that's the shit.
That's crazy.
And same with James Brown. It's like the rawest funk. The stuff I was into was not like the poppier, more produced stuff. It was like the raw, stripped down funk, like Mother Popcorn and Cold Sweat and like Funky Drummer, those jams. So like, that's just the coolest shit to me. The raw, stripped down, like not overproduced, overprocessed, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's why I create the way I create now, like as a freestyler, like out in public, like just raw, like no special effects, you know? Like you either are going to feel it or not. If you do, like the idea is for the feeling to be undeniable without pyrotechnics and extra shit, you know?
For sure. Some of the best names too.
Yeah.
Coming out of there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's see. Sam asks the question, if they make a movie about you, will it be a typical biopic? Is that how you say it, or biopic?
I've heard both, but I would go biopic.
Hell yeah, it makes sense. Biographical picture. Will it be a typical biopic drama or more of a comedy? Also, who would play you? Oh man, you know I don't know actors. I don't know celebrities outside of music. Yeah, this is a fascinating question. If they made a movie about you, will it be a typical biopic drama or more of a comedy? I don't know if it would be a comedy, but it would have a lot of comedic elements. It wouldn't be overly serious. But it would get serious too, I think. But I have no idea who would play me, man. I guess Adam Scott, you know. It looks like it. Yeah, there we go, dude.
Comes up, right?
Obvious, man. So obvious. I wonder, man. I bet you he could spit some bars, you know, through training. Know. Yeah, or maybe, who knows? Maybe he's dope already. Maybe he's a closet freestyler. But yeah, it would have to be Adam Scott, man. And you know, he does some comedic. Well, he does both, I guess. He does comedic and serious, so he'd be perfect. He would blur that line.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome question. Hell yeah. What else we got here? Okay, one more question. Okay, perfect. Martin is asking, have you ever entered a flow state where you completely forgot where you were in Omegle bars and or Gorilla bars? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah. I mean, one of the like signs of flow state, like one of the qualities of flow state is like distortion of time, which is usually like losing track of time. And that happens to me all the time. I feel like I just started freestyling and then the beat ends and I'm like, wait, what? So all right, so it's been 3.5 minutes for sure, because that's how long this beat is and it's over now. Can't believe it. I feel like it's been 30 seconds. So that happens all the time. And there are moments where I'll close my eyes and get like really, really into it and sort of forget where I am and what I'm doing. You know, with Omegle bars, there are kind of reminders, like my headphones are on, I'm sitting at the station in front of my computer, So I, maybe in some ways I might not completely lose touch with where I'm at and what I'm doing. Gorilla bars, yeah, I'm not sure. But I do know on stage, for sure, on stage, like on tour, there have been times where I close my eyes and go super into like the acapella, and it's almost like I open my eyes and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? And I've shifted my location and I'm facing a different direction and it's disorienting. Actually, that happened during the Beardyman collab too, by the way. If you guys have seen the more recent Beardyman collab, there are these segments where he's playing like some fast drum and bass shit and I'm going like super fast, freestyling off the top. And I kind of close my eyes because it was such a challenge. I knew it was going to be difficult to freestyle at that tempo. And especially like because I wasn't rapping off like visuals or words. It was like I was just going to try to enter a flow and pull things out of my own spirit and mind, So I closed my eyes for that challenge. And yeah, I just remember getting so into it. And then the energy of the audience started building and I felt that, and before I knew it, I was just like gone. And I opened my eyes at the end of that and it was like I was blinking from the light. I remember just being like, whoa, where the fuck am I? And I was facing a different direction and it was disorienting and I had moved, So yeah, for sure, man, it happens.
It's interesting. It's like two different scenarios, like one, Gorilla bars, Amigo bars, stuff like that. You're like putting a lot of the environment and what's happening into it.
Yeah.
So there's less space, but then like at your own show, everyone's there like on board already.
Yeah.
Or during a Beardyman stash. So you can like just kind of check out.
Totally.
Dive deep.
Yeah. That's the beauty of those kind of scenarios, if I just closed my eyes and started snapping during the Gorilla bars, like, I mean, could be awesome, but it could also, people might be like, whoa, this guy's like, he's gone,
you open your eyes, everyone's gone.
Yeah, they might just walk away. I think a lot of the reason that it stays so engaging to that audience is that I'm referencing things that they can see and kind of giving them that slot machine ping every 16 seconds. It's like, hey, here's another reference that you can see. So there's a little bit of that dance. But I definitely, it is not at all impossible. And actually, just this question now has me inspired. Like, when we're busking too and we form a crowd and they're kind of there, and sometimes I'm like, yo, can I do one more? On that second song, probably could close my eyes for the acapella when the beat ends and just go off and that could work. And actually, one of the busking episodes we did from Venice kind of has a moment like that. I just kind of start getting rhythmic and improvising like a drummer at the end, and the people are like, woo, somebody yells out, and I think you can feel it when it turns into that other thing where it's like it's no longer about just like the words or the visuals. It's not really about anything. It's sheerly about the flow state. You can feel that shift, and it's like the eyes close and it becomes this other energy and it hits you, So, and I experienced that watching other artists and listening to other performers where you're just like, God damn, they were so in it. And the fact that they're so in it is contagious, which is something we talked about on another episode as well, that flow state being contagious. So yeah, great questions. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for submitting these awesome, thoughtful questions. Again, we want to hear from you guys, video, audio, type it up, send it, whatever you're comfortable with, but give us those questions. HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. And if you are a freestyler, film yourself freestyling over one of our beats, send it in. I would love to react to it. Yeah, dope.
Yeah, and then next up, I pulled a clip here for you to react to, and
hell yeah,
what we pulled today is from the Marc Rebillet stream.
Yeah,
from a few years back, actually, on looks like May 23rd, 2021. One of my favorites, man. I remember watching this live like it was yesterday.
Oh, dude, yeah, so much fun, such a dope session. Shout out to the legendary Marc Rebillet, one of my favorite creators and human beings, man. And I've had several opportunities now to collaborate with him, and he's amazing. But this was our first time collaborating together. And yeah, it was really cool. I was going to be in New York, and he had started kind of opening his stream up to collaborate with people. He collaborated with some other people during this season of his live stream. He had Wayne Brady on there, which was incredible, and Emily King was on there, and some other great creators as well. But yeah, I had the opportunity to stop in, and it was so fun, man. It was so fun. So I won't share anymore. Let's watch it, and we'll see what.
Hell yeah!
What
this is this segment here is called "Move Your Body."
Oh hell yeah!
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Go and move your body. 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 Go and and move your body. Go 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 and move your body. Get it move your body. Go and move your body. You go and move your body. You go and move your body. Go and move your body. You go and move your body. Go and move your body. Get to moving, you improving every single time you grooving, locking into all the rhythm. We gon' take you on a mission, break you up like an incision, breaking out the mental prison, represent for my division. Keep on moving, improving like every second. The negative others that was coming in, we bout to reckon. We doing this for the record, expecting it to get higher. We lifting you up, we lighting you up and bringing the fire. Move your body, move your what? Move your motherfucking body. Move your what? Move your motherfucking body. Hey, move your what? Move your motherfucking body. I think you need it probably.
Move your motherfucking body. Move your damn body. Move your damn body. Move the damn side of your body. Move the damn top of your body. Move the damn bottom of your body. Move it to the east, to the southwest, to the northeast. Goddamn it, move your motherfucking body like that. You move your body, bitch, with the attitude fat. You moving and bouncing and baby juggling the ass. I see when you
move the body now.
Pause it real quick.
Body now.
and move your body.
This is insane. Dude, so dope. I haven't watched this in a long time. But one of the things I just wanted to point out quickly is like what's so dope about Marc Rebillet. One of the things that's so dope about him, because there are lots of things that are so dope about him, but he goes all in every fucking time. That's the thing. Is like he doesn't warm up into it, you know? Like I kind of warm up into being Harry Mack, like if I'm being honest, like I like, you know, do a couple laid back freestyles, try a few things, get the gears turning, you know. But with Marc, and I don't know if he would agree with this, maybe he feels as though he's warming up, but from the audience perspective, from my perspective, it's just like he goes in every time from the jump. He's like embodying the energy that we know and love of the Loop Daddy, man. It's awesome.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
And like, was there a little bit behind the scenes? Like, did you arrive and how quickly did you guys just like jump into this? Or
pretty quickly, yeah. Like we arrived, little like small talk. Oh, you know, great to finally meet in real life. He was like, "You want something to drink?" I think I had an orange juice, and then he had a beer, and he was like, "Well, should we do it?" I mean, it was like 10 minutes of conversation, and then. Yeah, let's do it. And then just sit down and go live. No conversation about what we were going to do, really. I think maybe he was like, yeah, so I figured I'd just like make some beats and you just like go off, dude. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. That was the extent of it. And then, which is my favorite thing, man. It like brings me back to playing jazz gigs. It's like, we don't need a rehearsal. We don't really need to overcomplicate this. Like we're improvisers. Let's just start.
Could almost do a disservice to get in the way of improvising to
totally.
come, you know?
Absolutely.
Move the body now. Move that body now.
And move your body now.
Yeah, move that body now.
And move
Okay.
ahead,
We rockin' in. Do it through the digital. It's pivotal that all of you get to shaking your physical. Yeah, we will get rid of all the negative vibes living inside us. Yeah, and every time we move, we crawling like some spiders. To the ciphers, we go rip them up. Act like you don't give a fuck. Why? Cause if you're honest, yo, you don't give a fuck. Keep on moving, keep on getting better. Breaking down every construct that you done thought of before. Slaughter it all, bring it right down to the ground. Move to the sound. Hey, even when the bad vibes are bound and surround, you can hop over those. Keep it moving, keep on shaking. We love the vibe we create, and we killing it, no debating. They dealing with Satan, burning past it. We making the message, it's felt through the masses. They feeling it every time that we bringing it. Cling to the rhythm, the drums beat banging. Yeah, get your body shaking, grooving, moving, hanging. Let's go. Move your move your body, move your body, move your body, move your body,
Move your body.
move your body,
Move your body.
move your body,
Move your motherfucking body like that.
move your body, come on, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
Move your body, yeah. Move your body like when you're moving that body. When I see it, when you're moving, damn, looking like a hottie like that. When you walking inside on the room with your motherfucking ass in the room. Moving all around like a broom when you cleaning on up the floor. I said your ass on the floor. Move it on up, gonna clean that ass with my hand and I lick it. Damn, it tastes good, bitch. I see the ass, yeah. I see the ass.
Move it like a broom, baby.
I see the ass.
Move it like a boom, baby. Yeah. You're gonna move it from the bottom to the top. Move that ass like a broom. Move that ass like a mop. Move that ass like the motherfucking back of a dump truck. Yeah. Move that fucking ass like a dumb fuck. Hey, keep moving that ass. Keep shaking that butt. Keep turning this up. We do not give no fucks. We going crazy. Move that ass just like the planet steady spinning. Girl, you steady winning cause that ass gigantic. Hey, keep it moving like a planet that's in orbit. Hey, turning up the heat because we about to scorch it. Keep that booty moving like a hand when you waving. The way that booty moving too amazing, girl, you blazing. Oh my God, hot like Cajun, you hot like the cuisine. The way you move your booty could affect the whole scene. You be affecting the tides, affecting the vibe, affecting me live. I swear it's an infection. Survive, I might not. It's quite hot. How you move, I improve. Just to see, we get free. They can't do it like me. Said this the Marc in the Mack. Check the vibes that we create and move your body. Check the way we got your fucking body bacon. Let's go.
It's obscene, lean. And when I'm seeing you bad on the scene, goddamn, I can't control it. I can't take it. I gotta hold it. I gotta shake it. Yo, that ass is too fat, bitch. That ass is too goddamn fat now, bitch. I said the ass is getting fatter, goddamn bitch. And now I'm getting madder cause all I want to do is squeeze it. Move your body. Move your body. Move your body. Move your body.
Oh my God.
Move your body.
Oh my God.
Move your body.
I did not remember it being this long.
Me
This is
neither,
amazing.
but I'm not mad about
Nah,
it.
this is insane.
Move your body.
Dude, the man is a wizard.
Wow.
Both you guys.
God damn, dude. Yeah, I thought like my memory of it is like was like the first quarter of it.
Yeah, same.
That's insane, dude.
Marc hits his own little flow state somewhere around here.
Oh yeah, dude. When
Just staring at the sky, like at the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's it right there. That's it. The full letting go, dude. Yeah, no, it's such a fun moment to relive, and it's such a cool example of the energy exchange of improvising. You know, like it started hype, but then it became like so hype. You know, it built up to this fever pitch moment. It was kind of like I started with my vibe, and then he came in a little more energetic, and I bounced off that. Excuse me. And it just keeps building on itself like through the ceiling. So fun to watch. And also the cool thing about this and a lot of this stream is like, and a lot of what I love about so much of Marc's stuff is like, it's so visceral, you know? It's just like about the raw feeling of it more than anything else. And a lot of my stuff is often kind of like intellectual, you know? I'm very like heady in a lot of ways because I'm very focused on like the lyrics and the coherency of the lyrics and like what is it that I'm saying, you know, and like, oh, is there like wordplay that's interesting, and like if I set up this concept of this is what the song is about, like am I executing that concept? And all of that stuff is amazing, but it sort of lives within the mind. And then I think appropriately so much of Marc's stuff lives in the body. You know, and it's this very visceral thing of just a feeling. And so like this was a cool opportunity for me to kind of explore that space with somebody who's really a master of creating that like physical response from the music. And yeah, move your body, man. I mean, it's a banger, dude.
So good.
Yeah. Shout out to Marc Rebillet. Such a great person and incredible musician and human being. And I feel really happy that I've got to perform with him several times. We did a thing at Red Rocks that was legendary. And yeah, did a pop-up with him at Venice Beach as well, and he's always very gracious sharing the stage with me, and it's really, really dope. So yeah, move your body, baby.
Yeah,
dude, I love it. Another great sode, man. You know what it is. Sure. We out here. Flow State Podcast. Thank you guys again so much for listening. Thank you for sending your questions. Thank you for picking my brain. Yeah, man, this is just, like I said, it's a really great time. I really enjoy making these, and I'm loving it. So we're going to keep growing this thing, man, but we're not done yet. We're going to close this thing out the way we always do, the way I know best. You already know what it is. Sam, let's get it, man.
let's do it.
Yeah. Coming off the dome, I'ma leave you scarred. You know we gotta close the show out with some bars. We gon' do a quick review of everything that we talked about and started to ponder through. Y'all know I'm taking them back to the beginning. When it comes to flipping lyrics off the top, I'm always winning. Y'all know that I'ma kick it sick. When I grab the mic, I be making people flip. Oh shit, I lost the beat. Did you lose it too? Y'all know I'm about to send it through? Or is that just me?
Dude, I thought it was like, because we still had time ticking. I thought it was part of the beat for a minute there.
Oh, shit.
Here, let's see what we got.
Take 2, y'all.
Maybe.
But we're going to wait for it.
Let's keep it going, all right?
Let's get it.
Take
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. Come on, listen. Yeah. Off the top of the dome, I'm in the zone. When I'm on the microphone, I can't leave it alone. Run it back one more time. You know the situation was troubling. Beat pause for a moment, it was buffering, but now we back online. Y'all know I be that fly guy. I'm connecting and my brain's increasing the Wi-Fi. When I be in flow state, it'll go great. H-Mack, y'all know I'm tearing up the whole place. When I'm on it, y'all know I'm entering the zone. Gotta turn my smartphone to a dumb phone, cause you know I wanna spit with all the vision, but the apps pull me into the algorithm. I thought that my time I was controlling until I lose an hour of time just steady scrolling. My brain is not open. I feel as though this isn't the proper path that's been chosen. Got to get back to what inspires me to kick raps, and y'all know I grip it and flip tracks. So yo, I'm trying to go back to the analog. When I'm freestyling, no, I don't plan it all. I just do it off the mental, but I still compose the verses and the dope hooks. Switching from the phone to the notebook, writing it with pen in my hand so I can fully enter a state of zen. Once again, y'all know I'm here with the reading log, cause I'm reading for the information. Best believe the God keeps on seeking raw information so that I can put it in my skull and continue like blazing, amazing, hot like Cajun. A reference throwback to the Marc stream. I be living out my dreams when I'm repping for my team on the episode. Yeah, closing my eyes and then I let it go. Y'all know the deal, trying to fix them raw addictions. Focus on my vision, I make it happen. We gon' get it cracking. Plenty books on my shelf, I'll be stacking. Hey yo, y'all know I'm about to make them flick. Memorizing mad numbers like Jim Kwik. Y'all know we line them up with ease. Every time that I be spitting, man, I do as I please. I make it happen with the realness. Competition, we winning this. Cause something like Jim Kwik in this, you know I'm limitless. Like I done took the limitless pill. When it comes to kicking bars, I'm infinite and ill. Y'all know I gets real whenever I'm on it. I'm about to keep it honest. All of my habits are atomic. 1% better on the daily. Fast forward a few years, the progress is crazy. Whole different human, the habits are all consuming. And we fall to the level of our systems. Homie, listen, we don't rise to the level of our goals, but I rise to the level of my spirit when I'm spitting from the soul. Out of control, when I be throwing it down. Golden crown on top of my dome. When it becoming delirious, the people be knowing they're Mack and lock in the zone. I'm never slipping, stay up on my mission. Shouts to the books I'm reading, they are assisting. I'ma show you how I killed this. Yeah, word to Guy, this is how I built this. Y'all know I'm underground like the sewer. I be building up the company, the young entrepreneur. We gon' make it happen while I spit the freest flow. It's freezing cold, turn into the CEO. Ill status, I'm the baddest, leaving rappers all the maddest. When I grip up on the mic, you know I do without a habit. I'm hopping like a rabbit, all on top of the beat, dropping the heat. No, I do not rock it discreet. It's out in the open, my eyes, I'ma close them, cause this next moment, full flow state is chosen. Yeah, when lyrics flying out my mouth, I might forget I'm sitting here up on the blue couch. I might forget I'm sitting in the podcast studio. I might forget about my mission, forget about my duty, bro. I might think I'm somewhere out in the cosmos from all these raw flows. I'm the illest I thought, so I brought those lyrics to the table. None can disconnect my mic cable, cause my freestyle's fatal. Yeah, ain't nobody fly as this. Is my movie gonna be your normal biopic? Yeah, nah, you know we gotta bring in the comedic elements, cause in my life comedy's always relevant. I love to make people smile, make people laugh. You know it's necessary when I'm all up on my path. Blasting off, I'm known to rap a lot. It's the Mack biopic starring Adam Scott. We gon' train him on the bars, get him up to speed, hard he'll wreck. Training from Parks and Rec on the improvisation that he did back then. We'll help him when he's flowing off the top with no pen. Yo, once again, yeah, y'all know the deal. When it come to bars, I'm for real. Biopic, go and cop the ticket. Hey, go out to the theater so y'all can kick it. I get wicked. Winning by all indication. They asking about my inspirations. Y'all know when I'm rhyming the flames, they be insane crazy. First improviser that I saw was Wayne Brady. Back when I was just a little kid, saw him up on Who's Line. And I dug the way he spew rhymes. Yeah, did it in song form. I wonder what the trick was. My mom said he's just sick, cuz yeah, she didn't use those words, but the message was still the same. It's absurd. Every time I'm rhyming, I be spilling them flames. Yeah, later on, yo, it was kind of the same, but kind of different. Watching the kids that sparked. Freestyle Fridays 106 in Park. Yo, it was incredible, blowing my small brain. Yeah, then in the middle school hallway, I was telling homies about Supernatural. I caught the CD, and you know that it was actual, factual, next level lyricism that left my brain blown. Yeah, he used insane tones from the mental to convey the message. When it comes to freestyle, can nobody test it? From him, learned through the battle with Juice about another dope MC who could get loose. Then I went to see Atmosphere live in the concert. Idea going first, freestyling a bomb verse. Shit was insane, we was all going bonkers. Yeah, y'all know the room was like a sauna.
Getting harder and harder, I lead them to the slaughter. I'm magic like I'm Harry Potter, I'm bringing them there. Y'all know that the child is good. Early influence, what? Howlin' Wolf. I bring you back to other classic blues. That's the type of shit the Mack will do. Yeah, every time I rhyme, you know I lead them to the slaughter. As a kid, I was stomping in the muddy waters. On the ground, I be throwing lanes down. I hear the snare crack from James Brown. Class Stubblefield on the drums, it's the funky drummer. We bump the music all through the summer on some James Brown with the grunt. Hit me dead in my chest, homie. I just need some more of that. I feel like it's the best. Every time that I be rhyming my dreams, I'ma manifest. I'ma take out there when I get loose. They be digging on the energy that I produce. I close my eyes and forget where I'm at. People pay close attention when I'm spitting my raps. And you know when I be rhyming, dog, it's truly godly. Me and Marc, Rebillet said, move your body. Cause when I spit the flow, I feel it's pivotal. That I hit you in your core and I spit something visceral. Something you can feel, I'ma keep it real. Y'all know it's immeasurable. Sometimes my lyrics feeling intellectual. So I'ma take a moment just to close my eyes and start to feel it. Cook the realest, it's the ill shit. Y'all know Mack the freestyle god. I'ma keep it real without no facade. Killing the whole game, but the fact is not odd. Yeah, it's another Flow State pod. Flow State Podcast, you know what it is, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.